It's deck building. I am your host, Demo. And for all the people out there that were saying, hey, it's been about 5 minutes and we haven't had any spoilers, what's going on here? You may have missed Jumpstart 2022 like I did. This came literal out of nowhere. I guess if you're sort of up on these things, and maybe I should be more, but I thought for sure we would get a little bit of a brief reprieve. But I guess Christmas is coming up, so they're trying to maybe push as much content out the door as possible. We got more spoilers, and this was so sudden. It was literally, I think the whole entire set is already spoiled, and it is mostly reprints though. That's so it's not like it's a whole brand new set. It's mostly reprints. It's very, I would say that the reprints are very commander heavy. Of course, it's only for eternal formats, so it's there is going to be a lot of commander staples reprinted, which is good. I like that. But there is some new cards and there is some new commanders. So I thought, I'll do one spoiler video on this set talking about the new commanders that we have and getting first impressions like I like to do. So let's start out with Roonadi Behemoth Collar, 2 and a green, Cat Shaman. 1/3. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 5 or greater, that creature enters the battlefield with X additional +1/+1 counters on it, where X is its mana value -4. Creatures you control with 3 or more +1/+1 counters on them have haste. That's very interesting for a mono green commander. And tap to add a green, so it's a mana dork as well. Okay, so your commander's a mana dork. That's not really much to talk about there. When you cast a creature spell with mana value 5 or greater, so you want big creatures in this deck, and there is a lot of commanders that I did not think that were going to be very popular at all from Commander Legends. The like a Modi and those ones that only gave you a benefit if you were casting really expensive things, and I was like, man, that makes it tough for deck building because your mana curve is going to be massive. A Modi was one of the ones that I talked about my commanders that I was shocked how popular they were because I didn't think people were going to go after it. So maybe we'll see if it applies here as well. So obviously you're going to want the big splashy creatures in this deck. All right, that's fine. Battle Cruiser Magic, right? That creature enters the battlefield with X additional counters on it, where X is its mana value -4. So basically, if it's 5 exactly, it's going to get 1, right? Because 5 -4 is 1. So if it's exactly 5, it gets 1 counter on it. If it's 6, it gets 2. It's interesting because, and they're going to have haste, right? If they have 3 or more, they're going to have haste. So that means you have to get up to a 7 here, right? So any creature with a 7 mana value or more is going to get 3 counters on it or more, and it's going to enter the battlefield and you can immediately swing with it. So it sort of becomes a little bit of a Xenagos deck, a little bit similar build maybe. This might be a popular one. It's a little dull, it's a little boring, but it might be a popular one. This is a great commander for just big stompy green. Right? This is a commander that if it would have came out like 5 years ago, man, everybody would have been using it, right? It would have been really popular. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but it's definitely an interesting one that I think a lot of people are going to like. All right, let's move on. Lita, Mechanical Engineer, 2 and a white, legendary artifact creature, Artificer 3/3. So having an artifact creature as a commander, not super great. At the beginning of your end step, untap each other artifact creature you control. Okay, so we are an artifact creature tribal here. And we just got a ton of that with Brothers War. So, I guess all the stuff from Brothers War would work here. We actually got a lot of artifact creature stuff in Warhammer as well. So, man, they've really piled on that whole theme recently. You're untapping each other artifact creature you control. So you're not untapping your commander. And your commander here seems to have a tap ability, 3 and a white tap, create a 5/5 colorless vehicle artifact token named Zeppelin with flying and crew 3. So apparently Lita is making a Zeppelin. That's funny. It's not legendary. It's just a Zeppelin vehicle. So it's a 5/5 with crew 3, which of course your commander can crew. I mean, that's okay. I think probably the what you're going to want to build around. I mean, being able to create that flying token with your commander is really handy. At the very least, it makes for a great blocker. The at the beginning of your end step, untap all your other artifact creatures is probably where you want to go with this. I think that, I mean, where is there you want an artifact creature that is untapping another creature? Does that exist? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but obviously, if you have an artifact creature that untaps another artifact creature or another creature, you can untap now your commander with that one when it untaps, right? So you can do some shenanigans there. It's okay. It's again, I said this about 5 times during the Brothers War spoilers. You're an artifact creature tribal, which is tough because you're so susceptible to so much removal, particularly the board wipes, because the Bane of Progress and the Vandal Blast will completely blow you out, as well as all the other typical board wipes like the Blasphemous Axe and the Wrath of Gods. Thankfully, you're in white, so you can Flawless Maneuver, Teferi's Protection. You know, there's like 20 different spells there that are at the very least making your creatures indestructible, so you don't lose all your entire team. It's all right. I don't know. Like, this is a mythic. It's okay. Let's take a look at Isu the Indomitable. This looks like a snow commander. Very interesting. 3 blue, legendary snow creature Yeti. How about that? 5/5. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Yeah, people like that. You may play snow. I mean, I know what this is going to do. As soon as I see that, I'm like, okay, they're doing that same thing, but in snow, right? So you may play snow lands and cast snow spells from the top of your library, of course. So again, we've seen this all before, but you're now doing it in snow. Whenever another snow permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay green, white, or blue. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Isu the Indomitable. So we're in a Bant commander here, which is fantastic because, first of all, they have done a lot of snow support, you know, in recent years, but being limited to blue is still going to make it a little tough on you. The fact that now you get 3 colors, because obviously now this is a Bant commander. And of course, we've never had a Bant snow commander. I mean, we only have a couple of snow commanders. Now we have a Bant one. Now you're open to all those other colors is going to make this a lot more viable, obviously. Whenever another snow permanent enters the battlefield under your control. Yeah. Wow, that includes lands, right? Because lands are snow. I mean, obviously, you're only going to have snow lands in this deck. It's a little bit tougher with the 3-color decks doing snow lands, but they do have, again, quite a bit of support there. It used to be that the only snow lands were basic lands. So if you were doing a snow deck that was more than 1 or 2 colors, it was really tough. You have Into the North, which goes and gets a snow land. They do have those 2-color snow lands now, so it does get a little bit easier. You know, you typically in a 3-color deck would play like shock lands, fetch lands. None of those are snow permanents, so you don't really want to do that. You want to, like, if I'm building this deck, I want to put every single card in my deck is a snow permanent or a snow card, because you may play snow lands and cast snow spells from the top of your library. So if everything is snow, you can just keep going and going and going, right? As soon as you hit a Sakura Tribe Elder or a fetch land or something, or a Krosan Grip, you've just stopped. You sort of, you sort of stopped yourself in your own tracks. So, it might be, a good idea to have maybe other stuff that like a Oracle of Moldiah or something else that plays from the top of your library, not snow stuff, so that you can get past that. Or you can have like something that exiles. There's a few of those cards that exile the top card of your library, so you can get it out of the way, or mills the top card of your library, like a Milliken or something. So it might be a good idea to do that. There's tons and tons of stuff. Again, the playing the top card of your library theme, I've done a lot of decks like that. Bant is really good colors left for that. I'll just say I have an Amaranth deck on my channel somewhere. It's one of my first videos. That is a Bant deck that is sort of doing the top deck manipulation thing. So check that out maybe if you want a little bit of help here for I don't know how much help there is, but there's a little bit of suggestions there for that kind of thing in Bant colors. So other than that, you're doing Snow Tribal, obviously, right? All right, moving on. And we got Preston the Vanisher, 3 and a white legendary creature, Rabbit Wizard. That's funny. Rabbit. Do we have any Rabbit commanders? I don't think so. Oh no. Yeah. What's his face? Quain, obviously, right? Yeah. Okay, 2/5. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's an 0/1 white illusion. Wow. That requires another read. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's a copy of that. Oh boy. That is very interesting. 1 and a white, sacrifice 5 illusions, exile target. Oh my. This is very interesting. I might have to do this one on my channel. So obviously you want a creature to enter the battlefield and it is not being cast. So of course there's a few ways to do that. You can cheat it into play with like a, amulet of, what's that amulet that cheats stuff into play? I can't remember. So I'm putting it into play without casting it. So now I can do the big creature thing, right? I can do I want to cheat I can't use an Avacyn. I can't use a legendary creature here, right? Because it's going to have, again, same name is what you care about with a legendary creature. So you having a Avacyn that's an 0/1 white illusion is still an Avacyn. They're gonna kill each other, right? You want to, right? So we probably want to avoid legendary creatures here. If I cheat that creature into play, a big creature, so now I can cheat that giant creature into play and get a token copy of it, except it's an 0/1. Again, the Avacyn works great here because now I get an 0/1. I don't care my Avacyn's 0/1 because it's indestructible, or I don't care if my Elesh Norn is an 0/1 because it's giving me that other awesome ability, but legendary creatures don't really work here. So, I mean, you could do Elesh Norn here because the token copy of the Elesh Norn will be immediately created and state-based effects will apply, and you will get the -2/-2 from both of them, even though your other Elesh Norn immediately goes away. I'm quite certain that's how it works. So you will get minus. It kind of becomes a board wipe. I don't think that's the best way to go here. You want creatures that you're actually going to get a benefit from. I think ETB creatures here are great, or creatures with really good static abilities. Again, because the creature is an 0/1. So I just put a giant creature into play. Some big scary creature doesn't work here because it's an 0/1, right? I want a creature with an ETB, or I want a creature that is giving me some really nice static ability, like maybe my team gets +1/+1 or something, right? That's what I want. You're in Illusion Tribal here, sort of, which is kind of funny. I don't know if there's any, I don't think there's any. It's weird that this guy's white. Illusions always are blue. So I'm pretty sure there isn't any illusion support in mono white. Don't think so. I don't think you want to really do that anyway. We want to cheat creatures into play. So either we want to cheat them from our hand, we want to cheat them from our library. I don't know if you can do that. Can I use like Suspend? I don't think Suspend will work here because Suspend is actually casting, so that doesn't work. And you can't have, again, this is sort of like with, what's that blue commander from that everyone was trying to figure out how to use. When you're talking about cast, the card will actually say cast on it. That's how you know, right? So an Isochron Scepter, for example, it says the word cast on it, so you are casting it. So stuff like that doesn't work here. You have to avoid that word cast, and you can do so by it doesn't say cast on the card, right? So if you can cheat something into play by not casting it from exile, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, or your library. Like something that reveals cards from the top of your library and then puts it into play. I don't know if you have anything in white that way. Possibly that card that just came out in Brothers War. Again, I don't know if it says cast or not. I'll put it up there so you guys can verify. Getting stuff out of your graveyard, obviously. White does have a fair amount of recursion effects. So again, that'll work here. Throwing a couple of those in the deck. Blinking is probably the best way to go. Like if I Eerie Interlude my entire team, right? I can Eerie Interlude my entire team. They'll all come back into play, and I get a token copy of everybody. So for me, if I'm looking at this guy, I'm thinking, this is the kind of stuff that I love. ETB creatures and blinking. This is a great commander for that. So I have a bunch of awesome ETB creatures that are giving me, whatever. I go get a land, I destroy an enchantment, whatever. I blink all of them. They all come back into play. I get token copies of all of them, and I get all of the effects, right? Draw a card, whatever. That's probably the best way to go with this. And then also, after I've gotten all those ETBs, I can sacrifice them all to exile a non-land permanent if I need to. I think it was a great commander. I think blinking is probably your best option here. Maybe though you could do a little bit of other stuff as well, but just really cool commander overall. This is a great one. I might have to do this on my channel. All right, moving on. Last one today, Kibo, Uktabi Prince, 2 in a green. Legendary creature, Monkey Noble. Have we had a monkey commander yet? Anyway, it's a 2/2. Tap, each player creates a colorless artifact token named Banana. Seriously? Oh boy. Sacrifice this artifact, add red or green, you gain 2 life. So we have the red pip there, and this is how commander works, guys. This is a Gruul commander, right? So you can have red in your Kibo Uktabi Prince deck. So each player, so we're in a little bit of a huggy theme here, right? So each player, you're going to tap your commander. Each player gets this colorless artifact named Banana. That is sort of like a treasure token, right? Except it's only giving you red or green, and you gain 2 life. There's already a card that is that I can think of that is a great fit in this deck is Punishing Fire. You can do the Punishing Fire. I've thought of a few. So punishing, one of the, I think I did this in a 10 deck ideas video, which is I want my opponents to be gaining life so I get benefit off of it. Unfortunately, you're only in Gruul colors, but there is 2 cards for sure, Punishing Fire being one that you would want to put in this deck, because every time your opponents crack those tokens, you're getting it back. This is what people do with Grove of the Burned Willows. Is that what it's called? Right? They use this in Legacy. That's how good this effect is, because you just get that Punishing Fire back every time you're... Another one is, I can't remember the name of it. It's a Kavu. It's green. It absolutely goes in this deck, because every time your opponents gain life, it gets a counter, I believe. Again, I'll put that one up on the screen. I'm not having a great day with names of cards here, but that card for sure goes in this deck, because so any effect where whenever an opponent gains life, you get something. I don't know how many effects are in Gruul. Those are the first ones I thought of. I don't know how many more there are, but stuff like that's going to be great here. Obviously, your opponents are going to be using those tokens. I mean, they don't have to. They will, though. Whenever an artifact an opponent controls... Oh, boy, and we're doing that too, eh? Whenever an artifact an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That's an ape or a monkey. So now we're an ape and monkey tribal as well. So I think the flavor here is Kibo is sharing these bananas with your opponents. Neat flavor. So now we're doing ape. Man, there's a lot going on here. So we're doing ape and monkey tribal, and we're doing artifacts going into the graveyard. So again, even if if any opponent is playing a treasure token deck, your commander's loving that, right? Because they're sacking treasure tokens like crazy. It has nothing to do with you, but you're going to be putting counters on all your creatures. You're doing the +1/+1 counter theme, so you can throw that kind of stuff in here, like the hardened scales. Oh man, it's going to be tough to fit all the stuff that you want to be doing into this deck. That Kavu works extra good, though. I mean, it's not an ape or a monkey, but it's doing the +1/+1 counter theme, so it works with all that stuff as well. And whenever Kibo attacks, defending player sacrifices an artifact as well. Wow. So obviously this guy puts counters on himself. There's so much going on here. I mean, you even could just... I'll just throw out some stuff here. Again, this is another one I might have to do. There's so many things going through my head right now. You can do, like, I throw a Molder Slug. Molder Slug is I'll throw it out there. You throw your Molder Slug in there, now everyone's got to sacrifice an artifact. You throw something like a Magnetic Mine in there. Now, Magnetic Mine might be tough, because now when you use your own bananas, that's never going to get old, you're taking damage, but your opponents probably will have are probably going to be affected by that Magnetic Mine more than anything. Viridian Revel, a card that I've mentioned on my channel many times, that I sort of, I will take a little bit of credit for that card gaining popularity. I mean, it mostly gained popularity because of the ubiquity of treasure tokens in the format. That card's just become really, really good. Phenomenal in this deck because, again, so anything where if an opponent's artifact goes to their graveyard, or any artifact, again, Magnetic Mind, Viridian Revel, stuff like that, phenomenal in this deck. Man, there's so much you can do here. Again, you can do the my opponent's gaining life stuff. You can do the anything that is doing artifacts going to the graveyard. You can do a +1/+1 counter theme. You're obviously an ape and monkey tribal as well. I don't know if I would just shoehorn a bunch of apes and monkeys into this deck, though. I would probably do, I would do the stuff that is like, okay, I don't want to just throw a bunch of really bad creatures in the deck. I want to throw ones that I'm actually, like an Uktabi orangutan or something, right? It destroys an artifact. And then after it destroys an artifact, it'll just sit there collecting counters. This is a great one. This is going to, and then the flavor on top of it, this is going to be a popular commander for sure. Of all the ones I talked about today, I think this is probably going to be the most popular one. It's interesting. It's funny. It's doing the banana token. You're in a little bit of a politics theme. You're in so many themes here. And this is a great one because people will go in a lot of different directions with this. I think you'll probably have people that are doing a very heavy ape monkey tribal theme. You'll have people that'll go more with the artifact thing. You'll have people that maybe will do more of a politics deck. There's just a lot you can do here. This is a great commander. I like it a lot. All right, that is it for today. 5 new commanders from Jumpstart. I don't know how many actual new commanders are from the set. I haven't done a deep dive. I just sort of glazed over it. Like I said, the set is mostly reprints from the original Jumpstart. How many commanders did we have? I want to say 8 or 10 commanders we got from that set. I know there was an issue with availability there. Those commanders have gained a lot of popularity, though. They were very unpopular for a while just because I think people couldn't get their hands on them. But these ones, man, I hope there's not an issue here because looks like some very, commanders that I think people are going to want to grab and build around. Very interesting ones for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but that is it for today. Thanks for tuning in.